Hello, everyone. I'm Jesus, and welcome to the next episode of the Road to Old School MTG. This is video 1 of 4 of the December Atlantic tournament held in Dave's Time Warp in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. They are hosting a monthly Atlantic tournament, and it is usually has been 4 rounds. So I managed to record all 4 rounds of my matches, and this is match 1 of 4. I will have the full series here on YouTube. So before we start, just setting the stage for this tournament. It is gentlemen's rules, so no Mind Twist, no Library of Alexandria. Also, it is proxy friendly, so you might see some proxies across these 4 videos. I want to first start by showing my deck pick for this tournament. If you saw the previous set of videos from last month, this is the same deck, but now I have added a few additions. So the 2 main additions are, in this one, I've added 4 Mishra's Factories. And now with that, I was able to add 2 Suchis. So from last tournament, from last month on November, I had no Mishra's Factories, and I had 4 Juggernauts. So the Juggernauts proved way too easy to kill. So not only can it be Bolted or Chain Lightning, which those 2 cards are very common in old school. Of course, it could still be Swords to Plowshare like normal, like any other creature, so I don't count that against it. But definitely the Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning, I do count that against Juggernaut because that is additional cards that it could be destroyed by, in addition to artifact destruction. So Shatters, Disenchant, Crumble. So the Juggernauts proved to be very fragile for me, and I wanted to improve on that card slot. Suchis I had wanted to put even from before, right? Because that extra toughness really counts for a lot in old school. It takes it out of range of lightning bolts and chain lightnings, and it's just harder to double team, right? To chump block. But it has that big drawback of adding 4 colorless to your mana pool, which you must use before the end of the current phase, or else you take mana burn. So now, with the addition of Mishra's Factories, I was comfortable adding those Suchis. First, I actually have 4, because I have 4 Juggernauts, so I added 4 Suchis. But I also wanted to add more Moxes. In the last version, I only had 3 Moxes, the Emerald, Pearl, and Sapphire, right? For the 3 colors that I'm playing, white, blue, and green. So I didn't have the Ruby or Jet because I don't play red or black. But just to add to the explosiveness of this deck, I wanted to include those cards. Also, most tier 1 old school decks have all 5 Moxes in the deck. So I needed 2 extra slots for that, so that's another reason why I only have 2 Suchis. Plus, also, I wanted to be more probable that I had Mishra's Factories in play, so that way, when I did have a Suchi, I was more likely to already have a Mishra's Factory in place, so I always had a way of dumping the mana, or at least more likely to have a way of dumping the mana that the Suchi provides when it's killed, and dumping it into a Mishra's Factory, right? So that's why I didn't want to have the same amount of Suchis as Mishra's Factory, right? It would have been more likely that I would have taken mana burn. So those are the 2 main differences. And then for the mana base, everything else is still the same for the most part. So I still have the the weenies, 4 lines for pixies, and then the beefier creatures, the 3 dibs, 3 urnums, of course the 2 Suchis, and also the 2 Saras. Blue Power, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk. I have Brain Geyser as well, Regrowth, and still 3 Armageddons. The sideboard I did not make any changes to from last tournament. It doesn't seem like. So with that out of the way, we can start with the first match of this tournament. So here we are. We already drew. None of us dropped mulligan. So I want to right here. I want to mention that it's out of frame, but I put in a Mishra's Factory on the side, and then my opponent also played a factory. So I'm going first. So this second turn, I put in a second factory and a Mox Sapphire. That's where I get the blue, so I can time walk. So I know it's out of frame, but please remember I have an extra factory and an extra Sapphire. So now I have 4 mana. I'm tapping 2 for Pixies, and then I'm using 1 factory to activate the other and attack for 2. So all this have been basically my second turn because I time walked. So I have 3 lands and a Sapphire, and my opponent has just barely begun his second turn. So very explosive turn 2 for me. And I'm sorry about the framing. The camera must have just turned upwards. But at least my opponent's cards are all visible. So what is seen there is his everything that he has in play. So he just played a Volcanic Island and passed. And also props to his playmat. Sedge Straw with Fred Durst over there in the corner. My opponent was pretty psyched to have his playmat be featured for the YouTube audience, to be immortalized. Alright, so I have 4 mana. Okay, so I have 3 factories. So this tells me I don't have an Armageddon, nor do I intend to play one, right? Because I already have 4 mana. Yeah, so I wanted to put an extra factory in case he pumped his. Mine would have still been bigger. I could pump it to 4. So now I attacked, and I pumped it twice. So 6 damage right now. So far that's 6 damage from factory, and then 2 from the Pixies. I guess I must have attacked previously from the Pixies, I believe, because he's at 12 now. So I must have missed that. Okay, so he played another Volcanic Island. My opponent seems to be have a lot of options and not sure which ones to go by. Okay, Sideshow. So this is a disc control deck, which is no surprise given the playmat, I guess. But he had no black, so he cannot regenerate it. Plus, it doesn't get the boost yet, so it's still a 2/2 creature. Okay, so I tap the Sapphire to activate my Chaos Orb, so I want to destroy it, so that way, before he has the mana to regenerate it, so that way I can come in and attack. So I use the other ones to activate and attack for 4 more. So opponent is down to 8. So I've done 8 damage from the factory so far, so this change is very effective so far. If it wasn't for my addition of the factories, this would have been only like 6 damage from the Pixies. So the clock has been dropped by a lot because of the factories. So my opponent dropped a strip mine, stripped one of my factories out. So I still have two more. I still have the sapphire out of frame. Okay, I'm activating and attacking. So I'm surprised. Disenchanting. So I have only one factory left. And I still got 2 in from the pixies, so my opponent's at 6 now. I must have like a sword or something, because I'm surprised I attacked. Or I was willing to trade my factory for his factory. Okay, so black and cast a Will-o'-the-Wisp. Now with the black, I am a bit more worried, because if he gets a Sedge Troll, now he can regenerate it. So and it would be a 3/3 creature. Okay, my opponent activates his factory, and then he gets an attack for 2 on me. So I'm at 18. My turn, I draw Armageddon. I'm surprised I didn't attack first and then do that, because usually that's what I like to do. Alright, so I'm attacking. My opponent decides to block with the Will. Oof, nice follow-up. Black Lotus. And then he drops a factory. Brain Geysers for 2, which is good because you want to hopefully draw more lands after an Armageddon. So I already was prepared. That's why I had dropped a Tropical Island, and then now on my next turn I dropped a Savannah, right? So I was already prepared for my own Armageddon. Usually I'm prepared, and then, well, hopefully I would be prepared, and then I have follow-ups. Only if I'm desperate do I Armageddon and without a follow-up. And it tends to catch the opponent off guard, at least the first game especially, right? Maybe they can kind of prepare on the second game. So here I am casting a Regrowth, and then I have a few options. I could either get another land, like a factory, to have another attacker, because he's at 4 now. So very close to finishing off the game. But in the end I chose to get a Chaos Orb, because that way, doesn't matter what the opponent casts, I'm able to destroy it, and then my pixies can come in. So opponent drops another factory, and then I'm surprised he attacks. So I dropped to 16, and then on my turn I attack back because he's tapped out. He's at 2. I cast my Chaos Orb, and I have 1 mana open. But then he concedes by this point. Alright, so that is game 1, and we are now going into game 2. Right, so game 2, we're cutting each other's decks here. So I'm still going to mention if there are any cards out of frame, reminding everyone. So I do want to, right here we are both drawing. I don't believe neither one of us mulligans, so he should be going first. But I do want to give a heads up. I've made a very big mistake in this game, so when it comes up I will highlight it. So my opponent, very explosive turn 1. Dual land, Mox Ruby, into a Soul Ring, into a Flower Stone. So you cannot use the Flower Stone at the moment because I have no lands in place. So I haven't even had a turn yet. So turn 1 he casts 5. He uses 5 out of his 7 cards. And then we were talking that if he has a follow-up wheel, then he is in. That would be the perfect follow-up to this. But I think he mentioned that he doesn't. So he lightning bolted me at end of turn. So already starting my first turn at 17. He has 2, 3, 4, 5 mana because I just dropped a land. So I have a Tundra, Mox Emerald, and out of frame I have a Mox Pearl, so the white Mox. So 3 mana, I was able to cast turn 1 Dib. So out of frame for me, remember I have a Tundra and a Mox Pearl. So my opponent's second turn, pays 4 mana for his Rook Egg, and then he uses his dual land to lightning bolt his own Rook Egg, so he can get the 4/4 token creature. Of course, with my Dib is 3/4, so I won't be able to attack, and then in addition I'll have the 1 damage every upkeep. So that was a very astute play for him. So here he thought it went out of play. I just told him no, it goes into the regular graveyard. So now I am at 16 from the 1 damage. So I'm afraid that he's going to attack me. So to counteract that, so here I play a Misha's Factor. So this is turn 2, I believe, for me. So a lot of stuff has already happened. So I tap the Pearl for a Lion. I tap the other 2 mana for a Pixie. So basically I want to have a lot of creatures so that way he does not attack me back, because he has the upper hand with the 4/4 flyer instead of my 3/4 flyer that deals 1 damage to me every turn. So he plays a City of Brass. So we're basically at a stalemate right now. So here I believe he was asking if the Pixies are flying or not. So I think he's contemplating attacking. If he attacks for 4, I'll come in for 7. So that's, plus I have a factory there. Okay, so I took another damage. I'm at 15. I play another factory. So I have 2 factories, a Tundra, and 2 Moxes. So right now I am activating one of the factories, the one that doesn't have Summoning Sickness, and I'm attacking with the other, with everybody. So I'm going wide. I'm willing to sacrifice a creature so I can get in damage. So I pump the factory with the other one. So I come in for 7 damage. And then he blocks my Dib. I believe I did this because it makes sense that he would block the Dib. And basically I wanted to not be taking 1 damage every turn anyway. Okay, so my turn, I'm not taking the 1 damage, but I did drop a creature, so okay. So here I have cast a Chaos Orb with the 2 Moxes. And then this is the mistake right here. So I literally just noticed this as I was about to make this video. I cannot do this. The Chaos Orb must target a card in play. The Rook Egg token is of course a token. So unfortunately neither one of us noticed this during the turn off, during the game. So this is an illegal move on my end, right? So I would like to apologize to my opponent here, Connor. I should have caught this. And so after that I was able to attack for 6, I believe. So that's the only creature he has, and then he he played a factor, right? So it seems like, yeah, I'm going wide anyway, no matter what, right? So even without the Chaos Orb, maybe I would have instead Chaos Orb his factory. So yeah, so I believe since he was already kind of low in life and I had numbers, I would have still done the same game plan, and I would have still been willing to sacrifice my creatures just to get his life total lower and lower, and then I would instead Chaos Orb his factory so that he wouldn't have it to block. But nonetheless, still, that was a big blunder for my end, right? So I have to remember this in the future, that Chaos Orb cannot target just anything. It has to be a card in play, and this is also a good PSA for old school players just in general, because Chaos Orb is a card that gets played, if you can afford it, you have a Chaos Orb in your old school deck, right? But please don't make the blunder I did. It has to target a card in play, not token. Thank you for watching.